Can AI truly save a business 40, 50, 60%? In this episode, you'll learn that it can and how to do it. Most headlines and social media push AI in marketing, sales, and customer service, but the real opportunity is in back office tasks. We show you tangible AI use cases in these back office tasks from our clients and how they can impact your business. Welcome to the AI Accelerator for Business show, brought to you by 0to60.ai, where you get the latest strategies, tactics, and information about the business benefits of artificial intelligence. My name is Carl Ye. I'm joined by my co-host, Jeff Bradshaw. And today we're going to be talking about, can your business really get the 40, 50, 60, 70% business efficiency, productivity from AI?
Carl, we talk about this all the time. We tell people that using the tools today, you can get 10 to 40% efficiency safely. We can stand by that. Some people question it, but I think that if people are actually using the tools to their full capacity, or even more than just the basics, absolutely. And we've seen it over and over.
When we look at the space and the hundreds of companies we have done prospect meetings, client meetings with, and we're actually doing discovery with their actual workflows and processes, what we see there versus the messages that are in the AI space or the AI bubble, there's kind of a disconnect, right? When we see some of the, automations even, right? It's a lot of it's focused on lead generation, content creation, customer service, right? Hey, how to get people, I've sold this whatever automation to an office or dentist office or whatever, and it responds and it's like, yeah, that's, first of all, I'm not sure how you would do that, because the interactions with any business we talk to, it's like, that doesn't make any sense, especially from a reliability and scalability perspective, because yeah, sure, you sold it, but who's running it? Are you running it? Because you have to make sure that thing runs. Have you accounted for model drift, any type of your custom instructions? Is when people ask different questions, or if it breaks, what happens, right? What if the business entirely relies on that and one of the major APIs is down? Like, how do you deal with that? So there are a lot of questions we have. It's like, is that actually true? Did dentist office buy that? And does it actually work? And are they still using it 3 months after they bought it? Which is one question for us. But when we talk to our clients, when we do our discovery, I don't know about you, Jeff, but marketing and sales, yes, it's part of the conversation, but that's not. Most companies don't lead with that. They lead with some sort of like process or issues. We like to call them eye roll tasks. Their employees either hate or they just keep doing over and over, but it's integral to the business. Well, and
again, when we do our discoveries and we ask who's using AI, of the people that put their hands up, generally it is for writing a document, writing an email, correcting something, maybe helping them brainstorm something, but that's kind of surface level. Like when you talk about sales and marketing, it might help writing some social media posts, but again, this is just such the tip of the iceberg, and this is where we see it is, you're right, when we dig into these, tell us about your repetitive, data-driven, predictive tasks, they go in a whole other different angle in these tasks that they're dealing with. And that's where that 40% efficiency, 10 to 40% efficiency comes from, is that if we take those boring, mundane, repetitive tasks, and again, a lot of the times we're building out some pretty simple prompts, even using some of the basic tools that are out there, whether it's Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT, and they're seeing significant cost savings. So the efficiency isn't a myth. I think it is very valid if they're using it the right way.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, because with the speed of AI, the companies are releasing new features and capabilities every week, right? And not everyone's paying attention to all the things that you could do with your Claude, with your Gemini, right? Deep search with Gemini, right? Two different things. Like you can do deep research and deep search, depending on the tier of subscription you're on. And the Nano Banana comes out. It's like, oh, I can do this. But then people are like, I didn't know you could do that. But it's not like it's advertised and you have months to use it. It's like, hey, we're on to the next thing. It's like, oh, GPT-5. Oh, what's funny is agent mode was released for ChatGPT like 2 weeks before, and then GPT-5. So everyone kind of forgot about agent mode. And like, that's a pretty good tool. And then they briefly have said, hey, you know what, you can do branching. I was like, that's a pretty good feature too. Like one after the other, after the other, after the other. And it's kind of crazy. And I get it. But once people actually learn about the capabilities, that's where that 40, 50, 60% productivity efficiency gain comes in. Again, there's so many elements to it. They have to regularly use it. Do you know how to use it? Who's going to teach you? Are you taking initiative on your own? Is the company trying to teach you too, right? There's so many
Well,
different
we were
elements
in a
there.
we were in a discovery session last month, and I don't know if you recall or not, but we had the client mentioning this document that everybody kept referring to, and it's a fairly large document, I think 300 or 400 page PDF. And literally, as we were talking in the discovery session, I downloaded the document, I built a custom GPT, and I shared the link with them and demoed it to them 5 minutes after we started discussing it. And it totally blew them away because they could ask questions against this document where traditionally they're scanning through the table of contents, going to page 282, reading it, interpreting it. And literally, again, in 5 minutes, we created a solution that would save them hours and hours of time every month, every year.
And it's crazy because we think those in the space like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a given. Like you should do that. But if you go to the business, it's like people don't realize that, right? Custom GPTs came out the I think December 2023 came out then. How many companies do we go to and we ask the question, "Hey, has anyone built a custom GPT?" and we get a smattering
Yeah.
of hands raised. Very, very few in the business have actually used it for a business purpose or thought about that way. And I remember that conversation because it's funny because the people in that room were like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know you could do this." And it's like, this thing's been out for like 2 years. I can only imagine all the other tools that you didn't know that you could do. And it's crazy. But let me go back. Here's a couple examples, right? We hear, again, like we were talking about, a lot of marketing, content creation, sales, customer service. But I'm like, you know how you get truly the 40, 50, 60% productivity? It's all the mundane and repetitive tasks that people do in the office. And it's I haven't seen very many people talk about the specifics of these tasks. So, one thing we could talk about is just payroll and invoice reconciliation. I think every single company that we've talked to has some sort of form of, I got to look at one spreadsheet from either a spreadsheet or a data source, whatever that program is, and compare it with our main data source. And are there discrepancies? And I feel every single business has discrepancies. I have yet to see, yeah, we're good with that. I'm like, no, there's somebody who has like, we bought a system, right? Like last week, we bought a system specifically designed to ensure there's no discrepancies. And we see it all the time, but it's such a simple fix, right? You have your favorite large language model, you put your one spreadsheet in, the other spreadsheet in, and just let it actually do the consolidation. It'll tell you all the discrepancies. It'll tell you who, what, where. And if it takes maybe a day or two to zero in on the right prompt, work with that client and dial it in. But once we dial it in, I would say, how many times have we heard days? You've taken days off how many days a month do we do this? And now we can do
And
it in
just a
15,
caveat on
20
that is we
minutes.
don't recommend somebody just goes use the free chat GPT. You want to make sure you have your privacy settings. So that's what we do with clients. But absolutely. I mean, it's those simple tasks that, and again, I think this goes back to the gap that you always talk about, Carl, the gap between those who use AI on a daily basis, regular basis, and those who never use AI or very infrequently use AI is that I think it's growing more and more every day because even you just said we get caught up with the latest features and the latest releases. Like you're right, ChatGPT agent comes out 2 weeks later, 5 comes out, and you forgot about agent. Like so that's why people are forgetting about the simplest things like a custom GPT because it's on to the latest and greatest. And so when you go back to things like invoicing, reconciliations, payroll,
Yeah.
it seems boring. It's not that exciting, but that's that 40-50% efficiency gain.
And this is where, once you've learned how to do this is where you can take advantage of the other tools, right? So you have in some large language models, you have the connectors, right? So it's like, oh, I don't have to drag and drop these two things. I can just tell the AI to go into a folder and do that that reconciliation. Oh, that's part one. Then you can say, hey, I want you to schedule going into that folder every 2 weeks. So technically, you've automated your process. But now you're like, you know what? Um, I'm going to get an agent to do that. So you test agent mode to do that reconciliation. And, you dial it in and it works. You're like, oh, now I schedule it. So but with an agent, you can connect a bunch of different things, right? So you can go, oh, I want you to do reconciliation, but because you're also connected to my email, I want you to send draft an email for me that I can review and send out. Oh, and I also, because you're connected to, say, my teams, I want you to draft it to our group that does this. So you've taken, but however, you don't want to end up, you never start at the last thing I said, which is a little bit more complicated. The simple fact of you dragging and dropping and having AI do it, that's kind of your base. And then you can see the progression that, once you're more comfortable, you can take it with all the features and
Well, and again,
capabilities.
the line that you always use is, rising tide lifts all boats. And I think that's the other thing too, is that once you start to realize how you can use it for certain little aspects, we've seen it. It's like a snowball effect where these teams go, oh, well, I could use it for this, this, and this application. So now all of a sudden, you've maybe gained 20, 30%. Well, now they come up with 3 or 4 other applications because they understand the power of the technology. And now you are at 50 or 60% because now they're understanding what they can do with it and starting to apply it in different areas of the business.
And let's move on to something completely different, quote unquote, back office ask is inspections, right? There's insurance companies, home builders that have people, even cabinet companies that go out and do inspections for their work, their product, their services, right? Insurance, they have to do site inspections for claims. For home builders, they have to do site inspections for the home itself. For even for product makers, they have to do site inspections or products inspections for, hey, is there any errors or inefficiencies, not inefficiencies, deficiencies in the work that we did, right? So and this is a pain, right? So you have to go out to the site, take pictures, write your note somewhere. In some cases, some people have a notepad or some sort of program, but then you have to still fill in the report back in the office and submit it, right? However that long takes. But like you have so many opportunities. One could be just using your voice, your phone to record, and then having an automation that automatically transcribes and turns your transcription into your report so it's ready for you in Word or a folder. Then you just have to finish it. It could be even now, a big kick to the Meta Ray-Ban glasses for these type of things because you can just turn on your Ray-Bans, take pictures of the site, transcribe it, and now you can put that all, I think, into the Meta app and distribute from there and set up automations and whatnot. So those are the kind of things there's like, hey, that's what you can solve now. But again, the focus is still on the marketing, the sales, customer service. But like, you know how much hours that this saves so many of our clients, like hundreds, again, back to the
Well,
days
and
and the
again, I
months.
think that, a lot of the times I think the sales and the marketing are kind of the easy entry points because people can realize that, drafting proposals or marketing material seems pretty simple and straightforward. But I also have to say, too, that it's surprising to see how many organizations are only using a fraction of the capabilities. We've had some where people are saying, well, we still, we write our blogs, but we don't know what else to do with it. Well, you could write a blog, keep it authentic, have an individual write it if you didn't want to have AI write it, but then you could use AI to take that blog post and recreate the content, create podcasts, create other shorter posts off of it and really leverage the technology. So now again, you're taking it and extending it further. And the example we have as well is, again, this is sales and marketing related and not necessarily the back office, but we take a lot of our final reports and we use tools to create an audio summary of the reports to include it with it. So again, you're leveling up. So sometimes you're saving time with those back office tasks, but also I think you can improve your service level to customers by doing more with the resources you have.
The final example that I want to go through is reporting, right? So every single company, you report on some form. And for many organizations, talk to many, you have to go into different software. QuickBooks, Tableau, Power BI, Salesforce, Google Analytics, whatever it is that you're reporting on, you have to go into a system. And either you do it, your manager tells employees to do it, or you get your agency to do it, but somebody has to do it. And how many times have we heard from executives, man, I've seen it's like, hey, I just want to know this. But to get that answer, you have to go through your levels, and it takes like what, a day or two to get the answer, right? Because the person has to go through all the systems and find that answer. But like with AI, like part of this is, now this is a little bit more advanced, but this is kind of the stuff that you do, right? You have all your multiple systems, but instead of your team going in and doing all this stuff into Salesforce, Tableau, just get your ChatGPT or Claude to be like, hey, go into my Salesforce, pull this out, go into my Tableau, pull this out, go into my Asana, pull that out. Can you also, and if you're more advanced, you can build these connectors into your niche software, go into the niche software, pull this out, do an overall analysis, because how often do you have time to do analysis on multiple data sources? It's very rare. Have the AI do that, and then not only that, generate a report for you that you can then send, have it, email it, put
Well,
it
and
to
even more
Teams or
so, you
whatnot.
always talk about like
That's,
even scheduling it. So now it stands alone so that
yes.
every 2 weeks or every month you get that report because it's automated.
Yeah. And this is part of, we had that show on AI-centric, building your processes to be AI-centric. And this is kind of the example that we always have, we use, because all the tools are there, all the technology is there. Yes, you do have to know a little bit more higher level capabilities, but this is kind of a back office task, because we were talking about, I know every single company I worked for, it usually takes a week on average to get all this information, package it up, and then create the whatever reporting deck, documents, spreadsheet to pull all this together. But I'm like, why don't you just have your AI do it every month at the exact same time, and you just have to review it? It's no longer a week. It takes like a day at most, maybe half a day. So again, another back office task that very rarely talked about, but has significant impact on
So I
literally every
think that,
business.
our message is that the 40% efficiency myth is not a myth. If you use the tools and use them to their full capacity, even partial capacity, you will see efficiencies. But again, you've got to use the tools, and you've got to be open to doing things in new and different ways.
Questions for our audience is like, do you know of any back office tasks, not marketing, not sales, not customer service, that you believe AI could cut days and minutes to? And then the challenge for you is pick one of those things. It could be the ones that we mentioned, invoice consolidation, payroll, whatever, and then see how long it takes, generally, and then create an AI version of it and see, compare it. And you'll probably see definitely a more than 40% productivity and efficient gain on that. Learn more about implementing AI in your business by watching these videos here. Enjoy today's episode. Want to learn how AI can impact your business? Then please subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.